Hello, everyone, and welcome to Human. We are back after a 2 to 3 week hiatus. I took a small break to work out certain things in my personal life, but I'm happy to be back. Today, we will be interviewing a friend of mine. I know him as Maxie, but he will introduce himself formally to the world and our audience today. Right? So, without further ado, let me bring him on now. All right? Hey, what's going on? How you doing today?
Oh, doing good. Doing good.
What's going on? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. But wait, second. Let me
Yeah, no problem. Get yourself situated, and
ah
we'll go forward from there. Wow, yes, indeed,
ah.
indeed. I'm, I can't hear you for right now, just to let you know.
Hello.
Yes, I'm here.
Good morning, my brother. How we feeling?
Good morning. I'm feeling good. A tad bit tired. I actually got off work and then only took a 2 hour nap interval before getting set up for the interview. But we're here today. I mean, this is work.
Yeah, nonstop,
We definitely
nonstop.
nonstop. So we definitely have to keep that momentum going. So I'm happy that I do have enough energy to carry on the interview. 100%. Yes, sir. How are you feeling today?
Uh, exhausted, exhausted. I know I have a big old smile on my face, but exhausted. Like it never
Same
stops.
here.
It never stops.
Mm,
And when it does stop, I still have to think about it.
because the mind never stops. How about
Right. My mind never stops.
that?
So it doesn't matter what's happening. Even if I stop, my mind still has to keep going and go over everything.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So without further ado, please introduce yourself to the audience. I did not want to start this off by mispronouncing your name, right? Because I know
Ah,
you as Maxie,
yeah, 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 yeah. My full name. Well, first of all, good morning. My full name is Javaun Maximay, Javaun Emperor Darius Maximay.
Wow.
Illustrious. I know. They really spanned out. They really spanned out on the names there. I love it. I love it. It was
It's
good.
illustrious. Wow.
It's
Okay.
illustrious. Javon Emperor Darius Maxime. So it's quite a long name
Nice.
or whatever the case may be. But yeah, that's what I do. I do real
Mm-hmm.
estate.
Mm-hmm.
And of course that's what we're here. I do real estate in the community and in the city. And it's nothing is light.
Right. Right. That's one of the things that we're definitely going to dive into today. I have a
Yeah.
slew of questions to ask you concerning that and how
Uh-huh.
can people improve, saying some of the situations despite the inflation that we're going in. But we'll get down to that after the first set of questions that I have for you
I
today.
I mean let's not even you don't even have to waste time. You could shoot all the
Well,
questions.
Well, what I would like to do is I like to build up to who you are now because I
Ooh.
want the audience to have an in-depth understanding of who you are outside of just what you do, right? I think that's important too. Also the comedy
Definitely,
aspect of things too. You're also extremely funny. People will be discovering your page
I
from this
definitely,
interview. You know,
I
so
definitely try to make it funny here and there.
as you should, you're already making it funny. You have a consistent smile on, man, which is a great start, right? So please let the audience know where are you from originally for those who don't know you.
I'm from Brooklyn, New York. Just
Hmm.
in case anybody thought they couldn't do it. I'm from Crown Heights. Well, actually, I'm from Brownsville, but
Okay.
I stay in Crown Heights, and it was hard. So to
Mm.
get into this, you need to actually like it. You need to like it.
Wow.
You need to love it. You need to like it first, and then you need to learn how to love it. Because if
Wow.
not, and that's just not for real estate, that's just for whatever you're doing growing up
Mm.
in Brooklyn. Like, you just need to like it, and then you could grow to love it. You don't have to love it off the bat, but you definitely need to like what you're doing and then grow.
Wow.
Um,
Love what you said there.
it was really hard back. It was very hard. to get into something like this. So it came with a journey.
Mm.
It didn't just like I liked it, but like I said, you got to like it until you love it. So it
Right.
came with a journey. So first I was with daycares and running around with friends doing little part-time jobs and stuff like that. And then the family members, people closest to me, which I call my family members, they started getting into development. And this was before it was the destructive empire you see going on right now.
Wow. Oh, before you dive deeper, I wanted to get into, I do have a question that actually plays into that. And I
Shoot,
wanted to touch into that 100%.
shoot.
First, I want to start by asking you to share with us one moment you experienced when you were younger that shaped you into the man you are today.
That is a great question, and I do have the answer, like on file, ready.
No problem.
If anybody watching this, it wasn't because he just asked this, it's because this really happened. I used to cut school and chill with my friends in Chinatown, like
Oh, I remember that. I
religiously,
remember Chinatown. Wow.
religiously. Dumplings. It made absolutely no sense. We were smoking, playing our little Yu-Gi-Oh, getting it in, and we were scraping by. And we really didn't have any bills or anything to worry about. But
Mm.
one day we were just like feeding our faces, stuffing, right? Dumplings galore that day. And it literally hit me like a sack of bricks. It just, we were walking across the street, nothing was going on. There was no problems or anything. The notion to succeed and do better just hit me. It just touched me. There was no
Wow.
motivational conversation that happened prior. There was nobody doing anything great in my life at that time that I had known of. We were literally just cutting school and enjoying life. And it hit me. I was walking across the street, eating a plate of dumplings, and I said, I can't do this anymore.
Wow.
I literally told all my friends that. They didn't know what I was speaking of. I said, I can't do this anymore. And they said, what are you talking about? I said, this lifestyle. I got to go get some money. And we had a nice group of friends too. It was nice. It was a nice crew. It was a
It
nice
was, yeah.
crew.
I
It was
remember the
dope.
crew. I do.
We was
I
dope. We was in
do. Wow.
Chinatown getting thick off of dumplings. It was great. But I realized my friends were more acclimated to the city than I was. And I think they already knew that.
Mm.
I think they pretty much already knew that. Like I was just like tagging along. In my world, I'm super cool. Right? In their world, I'm just a regular guy. I swear to God. And in my world, it's like, yo, what's going on? In their world, they were listening to anime and playing video
Yes.
games and
Before it
Yu-Gi-Oh!
was popular,
Before
which
it
was
was
it
this
was
epidemic,
popular. Yes.
we were doing music, we were doing
Yes.
videos, we were doing all sorts of things, and I couldn't keep up with them, to be honest, because they had already mastered survival in the city. They would
Wow.
do what they had to do to sell what they had to sell to make what they had to make. I'm a hustler too, but I just like the business better, and they were way better at the grit. So one day we were just
Wow. I
like
like when
eating
you said that.
dumplings. Yeah, they were better at the grit. And
Let me ask you a question. How would you define the two if you juxtapose them? You know.
there's one of the friends are online now. Yes, he's one of the ones that are better with the grit. Way better. I was just tagging along. In fact, I think I was just filling in a spot for him at the time. It's the only reason that brought me out there at the time because he wasn't around. I was just filling up a small spot. And then when he came
Wow.
back, it was a nice complete group again. So that's how that secondary group started in the city. Um,
Wow. I
yeah,
wanted
but
to.
that
Oh, go
moment, that
ahead.
change, yeah, we weren't doing too much. We wasn't making
Hmm.
no money. We was living, but we wasn't making no money.
Right.
I needed to make money to feel better about myself. I know that sounds pretty like shallow or whatever the case may be, but this is the world we live in. If it was bananas, I would have needed a million bananas. If it was blades of grass, I would have needed a million blades of freaking grass, because that's the mentality that
Wow.
hit me while we were out there just like enjoying life, because it could have been better, right? It could
Right.
be better if we all just like band together, and not that's the kind of stuff that I was seeing that I just kind of craved. And one day I was just like, all right, I'm out. My time's up.
Another question for you. Something that rewinds a little bit backwards, right?
Hmm.
Did you have both parents in your household?
Yes, for a time, and then no. My father was around, but he left like a lot of pops do. In Brooklyn, unfortunately, he left. You know what? Let me take that back. There's a plethora of good dads in Brooklyn. I just didn't grab.
I
I just didn't
respect that
grab them.
you. I
Right.
respect that you.
I'll
I
take that
respect
back.
that.
There's a
I
plethora
respect that.
of great dads in Brooklyn that
I
just
do.
don't get their due
Hmm.
diligence or their due flowers. But my dad
Right.
wasn't one of them. He dipped. He was out. After that, my mother got into another relationship. I considered that guy my stepdad, but he didn't last forever either. So my mom
Mm.
is my mother and my dad forever. She did it. It's done. She put it was her, and if I had to accredit it, the motivation popping up out of nowhere, if I had to credit it to somebody, it would be her. She's the ultimate
Wow.
hustler, ultimate grinder. And at the time, it's like you're walking around doing nothing when you got this super queen at home, grinding, doing nursing, doing this, doing that. You
Mm.
got friends you don't really talk to, or colleagues or mentors that you don't really talk to, who's out there doing it. You're not really connecting with that. So
Right.
there's all of that kind of stuff, I'm assuming, that kind of just boiled into one. I'm telling you, just one shot. And I was just like,
Wow.
oh, this is, I like where this is going. The road was crazy. It is nothing like I thought.
Wow.
It's still not what I think it is till this day.
Well,
But
how did it impact you? Your mother being, the strong force of the household, and inevitably being both parents. Having to fulfill the masculine role, excuse me, and the feminine role.
there was, well, that last part, that wasn't really a thing. The masculine,
Mm.
feminine, it wasn't. That's not a thing,
I
because
like that. I like that. I like
right.
that.
It's not a
I
thing.
like that. Yeah, it's more. It's definitely more, in my opinion, new age. It's definitely a
Yeah,
new
it's a
age
new
thing
age thing.
for sure.
It's a thing that was in the past that the new age is rekindling.
And under the guise of different labels, I feel like,
Right. And
right?
and it has and they have different meaning. Before, there
Uh
was a
huh.
more noble aspect of it. Right? The
Right.
way we look at it now, we're a little bit prouder now. So we look down upon things that they were doing back then. But back then it worked, right? If I'm out
Right.
hunting all day or gathering, and I came home, and my wife, we're speaking about the traditional, the past term, what they would call traditional.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily that I believe in that. I believe everybody could do everything, but at that time, that's what worked for them. But in
Mm.
this day and age, well, at least when I was growing up, it really was a village. So I didn't have to worry about that,
I like that.
right? So like I
Yes.
said, I
Yes.
was born in Brownsville. I was raised 50-50. I was raised in like Brownsville, and the other part was over here in Crown Heights, Park Slope, and whatnot. So
Wow.
I get the best of both worlds. But with that being said, I didn't need to worry about that, the masculine aspect of it, because the streets, it's pretty masculine itself, right?
Yes,
So
it is.
when I go home, I can see my mom, and I can see how she's grinding and holding the house down and waking up every day and sticking to this set schedule. And, she's going
Right.
through her situations. But she has my little sister, you know, um, still maintaining to this day a steady job, steady income, steady motivation, creativity, which I'll get into. But
Mm.
that is what really, so not shorten the answer, but that's what it really unlocked. And it had nothing to
Understandable.
do and it had nothing to do with like feminine energy or masculine energy or just the testosterone level. It had nothing to do with that. It was really just serious. It was because I see how I really feel about certain things now.
Yeah, this guy
Like,
is
I've never seen an
testosterone
argument
level.
like when my mom and when they were together, my mom and my pops, or my mom and my stepfather at the time, there was
Mm-hmm.
never a question about who's paying the bills, or like 50%, 50%, like how you see what's going on right now. It's because everybody's trying to fight away the traditional role. Um, I never saw that argument growing up. I saw a bunch of arguments, but I never saw that argument because it didn't really matter. Because if you didn't pay the rent, we're all homeless, right? Like
You
if you
said
didn't,
bottom line.
like if you didn't
Wow.
pay the rent, we're all homeless, right? Because we already got into it as a team already, right? This is from my understanding. Like we're in a team. So once you've just meshed all of that together, there's no role anymore. There is no role. It's just
Mm,
discipline and priorities, um, which is the birth of creativity. Because you have to figure out how the hell you're going to take care of everything that you need to take care of, whether you have help or not. You have to figure out a way,
you do.
and
You do.
and that is what I would attribute me getting from my mother as like a perk or attribute or accolade or a skill set. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's it's that hustler's mentality, that grind mode that
Mm,
I'm able to tap in from a quarter, from a dime. I'm able to tap from a quarter. I'll panhandle $5, $20. I'll take 20, buy gas. Do you get what I'm saying? Like it's really nothing. I'll grab a gallon, call it 2 gallons, sell it for double. Take that, come back. It's a mentality. And once you unlock that, you just pick. Once you
right.
unlock a creative hustler's mentality, just pick something. And when I say just pick something, I chose real estate.
You know, it's so funny, and I want to start walking down the road towards that actually within the interview. And here goes one of the questions that start us down that road. What changes have taken place uh, in New York, and how do these changes affect the native people who live in New York, the natives of New York?
You'll die if you don't try.
Okay.
Young people have no idea what's going on. You'll die if you don't try to get this money and get better. Somebody just text somebody I guess she's watching the interview. She just hit me up. So I saw her face and I
You know, so
smiled, which is
funny
crazy.
for this interview, I cannot see anybody who's interacting. For some odd reason, my screen is kind of stuck, so I can't see who's even watching the interview, who's commenting or nothing. But
It
I do.
fluctuates between a
Thanks.
couple of and she just screamed my name, I guess, because it was all caps. So she just screamed my name.
Thank you to all of those who
But
are tuning into this interview and who
right,
will
they're
be
tuning
also
in,
watching
tuning
it
out,
later.
tuning in, tuning out. I see it. But yeah, you'll lose if you don't try. Right? Like
Mm,
what I mean is everybody's so quick because it's so expensive to live in New York. Everybody's so quick to leave. You really should just be looking into buying it, right? And they're also afraid of that. There's grants that you get for free once you start to try to get the interest level up and purchasing property.
wow.
There's grants that they give you, like not small grants. We're talking 100,000, 150,000, 50,000, $80,000 grants that you don't have to
Right.
pay back normally. You don't have to have a business. All you have to do is have a job and just be alive. And it be your first time purchasing a piece of property. You have access to these grants that can help you with the full payout of what you're trying to buy. You could buy property. There's a house in upstate New York right now for 25,000. You could fix it up, sell it back for 100,000 in 30, 40 days. You you just don't right. I won't go too deep, but
Yeah, not right now
not too
because
deep. But
I
I don't
do
want to go
want
deep
you to
on
go
that either.
deeper. I
No,
know
but I
I
want
do. Oh no, no, I do because I feel like there's some tools here that we have. You know
yeah,
what I'm
no, I'm
saying,
gonna
that
drop a
we
couple of
could
gems. I'm gonna drop a
help
couple of
help
gems.
people with. But I want to ask you a question. I have two that I want you to answer back to back, right? So first is, what is a misconception that people have when it comes to real estate? I think that's a good start.
That it's this effortless, easy job that we get overpaid for. I have 5 clients right now, and It's hard. It's been like 2-3 weeks, and I'm still sitting on those same 5 clients. By the time they get, I'll paint a better picture. After I come off of work, it's 9, 10, 11, 12 o'clock. It's 4 hours. I just got off the second job. So real estate is the first job for me now. After that, those are 4 appointments that I have to show. After that 4 appointments, I have another 4 appointments. They may not take the apartment. It's not some easy gig, right? It's not, oh, you want an apartment? I show you, you rent it, it's over. People have to meet these requirements, which I'll get into later. It's no easy matter. They have to meet these requirements. And when I say if you don't try, you'll die, this whole independent thing, you're not cutting it. Nobody is. None of you are. None of you are. It's cap. I promise you. All the people that you see, they're doing it. They're doing it big, or they're making money. You see this crib. No, they're not. They're not. Wow. You need to make 40 times the rent that you're applying for in annual income. So if you want an apartment that's $1,000, that does not exist. I'm just using the number. If you want an apartment for $1,000, you yourself have to make annually $40,000 a year. You're not doing that. Most of these people here don't even have a stable job or a union or benefits, which you also have to qualify. So, right, it's not, you see, and not to shoot on people that's using government programs and things like that. You see them in a new apartment, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, they got a kid. There's no man in the house or anything like that. Not to put any gender roles, but there's no team. They didn't do that on their own. You don't make, your credit isn't 710, flawless, making 40 times $1,800 rent. No, that's nearly 80 grand a year. You don't make 80 grand a year. That's the starting salary of a doctor.
Wow.
That's the starting salary of a resident doctor. You don't make that. So you don't have to, a lot of people just do it to show, or it's got to be a team. It doesn't have to be, but if you're not with that creative hustler mentality and you know it's coming in, you better create a team, right? So that's those are 2 misconceptions actually. One is that, us real estate agents, we just get paid these big bucks to do absolutely minimalist work. It's not true. It's backbreaking work. It's the same amount of work as renting an apartment as it is to selling an entire building. It's the same amount of work. It's the same amount of back and forth. Immediately after this interview, I have to get up, go to the Lower East Side. Then I have to come back down to Chinatown. Then I have to go back up to the Upper East Side. The clients aren't even here. I just have to put in that work for them. They're at home, at work, relaxing. I'm doing the footwork. I'm going to go argue with management in about an hour or so about why the key can't work. It's me. I'm going to negotiate what perks you get. I'm going to help you negotiate $100 down off the rent because I just know management could do it. This is what you do, but this is certain things that people don't know. I have to travel 10 miles every time I have to do a showing. It's equivalent of 10 miles. And I'm serving people who make 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 times more than both of us combined. And I'm not dragging it. And I can't speak on their finance, but I just helped a client find a condo. He's a dentist. He makes a rough $750,000 every 6 months. Every 6 months.
Wow.
Every 6 months. And he himself was having a hard time to qualify for the apartment because his credit wasn't great. Right? Wow. So even if you had the money, if your credit shows something that's off, you still have a possibility of getting denied. So when you see somebody and they're living in Brownsville and they're showing off and they're flexing, don't take that to heart. They got that by the stroke of God. Because what's coming to everybody it's unbearable. You have no idea. And
I want to get into that. I do. I got a question
for
that too. Oh my God.
Because you have no idea what's coming. I'm going to start off by telling you the starting areas.
Yeah. Well, I want to start leading towards that, but I also actually
Oh,
maybe
go
you
ahead.
could cover it in this next question, right? What is one of the most important things people should know about real estate?
You don't have to be a rocket scientist, right? Everybody, there's another misconception with the being a real estate agent. It's one of those. It's an occupation where we compete with the other high-ranking people without the degree. So we make as much as a doctor. We make as much as a nurse. We make as much. We make more than our teachers, and we make more than the police. We make more than the fire department. We bring in bucks. In fact, out of the 3%ers that run the world, 90% of the 3% that run the world are in real estate.
Wow.
McDonald's owns the most real estate out of any corporation in this nation. McDonald's. Why is that? Because asset is king aside from cash. But your assets hold your cash. So it's king and queen if you got them together. You got the board. You have the
Wow.
board. Cash is king and assets is the queen of that. Right? You have both of those, you rule the world. You rule the world. It's literally just as simple as that. And it's just as easy to get into. Right? You take your time, you study what you know, you get into one aspect of it, you move on to the next, you keep advancing. This is one of those places, real estate is one of those places where don't take the time out of your mind. Everything is fast paced now. Take time out of your mind. This is how it's done. Take time out of your mind. Don't stop counting it and stop taking so long. It is fast paced now. It is speed, precision, discipline, and it takes you very far. And you don't get that. You get it, but you got to really delve and delve. Just keep knocking at the door. And what I mean is, to be successful, you can't dwell on your failures. I didn't make this sale, or I didn't get this rental off, or I didn't close this deal, or I didn't get this contract signed. Knock it. It doesn't matter. The client didn't fall through, move on. That's why you'll see a lot of real estate agents, they come off a little cold. They come off a little not nice. I'll just use that for a better term. It's because they're getting to it. That's what getting to it looks like. It looks a little happier later on, but when you catch them in the middle of the grind, 2-3 deals have not closed, the client has left you outside, canceled the appointment, it's raining, you still got to show it. You're going to get a real raw kind of individual that just wants to get to it, which unequivocally helps us become those financially stable people. Getting to it. Hey, what's your first name? What's your last name? What's your credit? How many people moving? Are there pets coming in? What's your moving date? What's your occupation? Can I get a picture of your pet? What's the breed? Has he ever bitten anybody? It's a slew of things. Do you have a checking account? Do you have a savings account? Do you have a money market mutual fund? A trust fund? Are you doing any investments? How's your crypto looking? Are you getting any income off of that? How's your life insurance? Do you have health insurance? Are you a part of the union at where you work, and how long have you worked there?
Wow. That is quite the list.
And what I'm saying is, it took me a while to get all of that down, but as soon as you enter my zone of real estate, they're already in my head. I'm asking you these questions in my head before I could even type. I'm asking it to you. I'm asking you. As soon now, and it comes so jet stream. If you text me, my first response is, do you have a contact information? And then boom, I hit you with the questions. Before you even give me your number, I'm hitting you with questions. I want to get to it. Why? Because there's other agents twice as monstrous as I am.
Wow.
And I'm talking about they're meeting you. They're pulling up. They're showing you the apartment before I could even get the first initial phone call off. There's people renting $3,000 studios without even seeing it in person.
Wow.
Like, that's a thing. Like, that's a whole thing. They're renting apartments without even going to them. We're losing.
Wow.
We're still stuck on getting scammed by our own people.
Wow.
I can't even explain it, which is why I don't actually do real estate or rentals in Brooklyn that often. Unless it's luxury. And I know how that comes off a little bit, but when I first started,
My bad. When you said that you wanted to divulge more information that people needed, to hear in terms of areas, things of that nature, I would also like you to dive into that too, as we continue talking. You could definitely just insert that in, right?
Yeah, no, I definitely will. So everybody thinks Brownsville and East New York are like these horrible areas to like live in. And the truth of the money is people with a business mentality only see money.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing but money. Everything. I first started real estate. That's where we started out. That's not where we started out, but that's where we started out to look at investments. The people in the neighborhood, unfortunately, and the people who allowed it to happen, allowed the entire neighborhood to deteriorate. So what happens is the value goes down, and what they'll do is they'll push a certain set of people to one area to continue to diminish the value. So we had a situation in Crown Heights where a lot of people got moved out of their apartments from these buildings that are now like $5,000 for 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms. They got moved to Brownsville, East New York, right?
Wow. That
whole area, they got bought out. 5,000 here, 10,000 there. Everybody got paid out in Crown Heights, Bed-Stuy. There's a little area on top of East New York, East Flatbush. It's called Weeksville. That area is actually like our 4 founding fathers coveted that area. That was like their first settlement area. It's trash.
Mm-hmm.
That entire area is trash. Those are the only areas where you could get cheap income. I mean, cheap income apartments, cheap apartments, $1,500, $1,400, $1,600. That's where you could get those apartments. So yeah, they're gonna move you to those apartments. We, unfortunately, as a people, we're gonna continue overlapping each other, not buying, continuously renting. They'll continue to strip our resources. The area will continue to deteriorate while we die out and kill each other. So when crime goes up, the area deteriorates. The businesses are plateaued. And when I say the businesses have plateaued, I mean they're the same mom and pop shops that you grew up with. That's not good. That's not good.
Wow. Interesting.
Like I know everybody thinks that's okay. That's not good that the mom and pop shop is still there and hasn't improved their products. They haven't updated their store. But yet they're selling your everyday things. They're selling your cigarettes. They're selling your fronto. They're selling everything. But they haven't upgraded, right? Wegmans up the way has seasonal fruit, right? They have seasonal fruit. Frosted cherries. I swear to God. They have seasonal fruit. There's no supermarket in East New York or Brownsville that has seasonal fruit, my friend.
Wow.
They don't. And they keep that stuff away. So the mom and pop shops don't get the idea to step it up. No, stay exactly where you are while the world around you keeps evolving. Right? Now what happens is when it does hit your neighborhood, you won't be able to keep up. You will lose the store. Right? So something like, I don't know, COVID. Weeded out all the weak. Weeded out the weak. The people who stayed away from the low income areas and kept their prices steady and high, they're still here. They're still here. The people who adjusted their prices, they're still here. They're still here. Now what are they doing? They're upgrading their supermarkets. Western Beast has an organic side now. Associated is now Food Town, and they sell seasonal fruit, like Wegmans. Now we have dragon fruit in the area. What?
Wow, dragon fruit is on the rise too, man.
It's $11. It's $11 per pound. Dragon fruit comes no less than 1.5 pounds. I had to buy 3 the other day. I nearly cried, but I didn't buy it. Right, but I didn't buy it from Brownsville. Is my thing. So they're not giving nobody nothing good to eat. They're giving you everything basic. When I want to get cheap dog food, I drive over to East New York and get pedigree.
You know, I would invite you to read a book that I have in my possession that I haven't looked at just yet. It's called How to Kill a City. I think that what you're speaking about plays strong into that, right? Like I haven't read the book, but when I look at the title, I'm like, wow, I could see like once I finally get to reading the book, this is slowly of how they, you know, the economy crashes in certain areas.
It never really
right?
crashes. It never crashes.
So it plateaus.
It never plateaus. It's never bad. It's never bad. It's
It
bad
evolves.
for you because you're broke. It's bad for you because you're broke. I lied to you. I lied to you now. There was one time there was like this big thing, and everybody was losing their homes. Everybody was losing their apartments. It was crazy. My mentor at the time looked at me and was like, "Damn, y'all must be going through it. Aren't we all in it together?" He said, "No, I'm paid, brother. You got to get like me." That's the mentality that started kicking in, right?
Wow.
Everybody, it was the recession. It was the last recession. Everybody was crying except him. He went to Cabo. It was no problem. COVID hit. People were stressed. What do? He ordered his groceries. It was nothing. It was nothing. It's how you weed out the storm, right? So right now for real estate, the storm is they set you in there. They put you in the area. Then they took away all the good stuff, let you destroy your own town, right? By the time you're ready to step your game up, Susan and Michelle, who have been lesbian partners for 3 years, have opened up their coffee shop, Pulp and Bean, on your block. Now, what happens? You've never seen a Pulp and Bean before, right? You go in there, you try it. It may not be your thing. It may be your thing, but now you're starting to see it now, right? Now, here's where I come in. I love your area. There's a little small area. We know it's about to get developed. I like your area. I'm going to go rent that out to Shirley and another, I don't know, an Asian partner who are making, and I am using the races for a reason. And I'm gonna bring them into your neighborhood. Why? Because Suzanne and Elliot, the Asian guy named Elliot, he's gonna bring his culture over. She's gonna bring her culture over. Her mom's from Indiana. His family's from the Bay. They like good produce. There's a new what you call it up the block, right? What's gonna happen? They're gonna start going to those organic stores. They're not gonna go to your rink-a-dink shop, not yet. But when they do, what's gonna happen? Mr. Halal and the Chinese man, they're gonna magically come up with some money to improve the look of their store. Wow. This is gonna set off a chain reaction for real estate. What happens is, now that the white people are coming in, we need to cater to them immediately because we know they spend their money. They don't come in here and ask for shorts like that. And when they do, we're happy to oblige because we want their continuous business now. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up our stores now. We're going to sell organic products. We're going to start getting rid of all that shit that you like and give them stuff that they like because we don't want you in here anymore. So the fronto spots will get really scarce. You'll start to see them get industrialized and commercialized, coming in little baggies now, real baggies, not like, those plastic sandwich bags. They're going to come in real commercial items. Why? Because the white people that move into your neighborhood, they don't want to see no half-ass product. They want to see legit business. So so Halal is gonna update their store now. New fresh glass in front of the deli. You'll see it happen. You just won't notice it, and you won't notice the reason why. It's because they're now realizing that rent is gonna go up. Right?
Wow.
Now that you've been living good, the landlord realizes gentrification is here. Money's it's on the coastline right now. Let's raise the rent. Here we go. If you raise the rent, the food got to go up. The only people that can afford the food is the new people that's moving in. They're going to bring in more new people. You're going to move out. I'm going to move more of them in. It's now we getting it. Now we getting it, right? The more those
Right.
people come in, is now the developers a piqued interest because now there's white people coming here. What happens there under the radar? Uber Eats will now deliver a little bit closer towards East New York. If you look at your
Wow.
if you look at your Uber Eats or your Grubhub or your Postmates, which got merged with Uber Eats, they do not deliver to your area. It stops. There is a line that stops right before Brownsville, East New York. They don't deliver to your area. Every time they make a new development, guess what happens? One section of that closed off area gets available now. Uber Eats will now deliver to that area. A couple blocks down the line, they'll erect a new building. Now Uber Eats will deliver to that area, catering to the people who are going to live in these new buildings. It's one nice cycle.
I wanted
And
to say
unfortunately, they use us like champion warriors to push it forward.
that was a a great explanation. Like, wow, that embodied a lot of things that we oftentimes don't speak about between one
We have
another
no idea what's
as,
going
you know,
on
a group of people. Yeah.
as a group
I
of
wanted to
people. Well, I was
continue.
just going to say that too.
I wanted to continue this interview by taking the conversation a little bit in a different direction. For the first time,
Sure.
I stumbled upon the word horticulture, right? Am I saying it correct? Right.
Yes, you
So
are.
I thought that horticulture was actually hoarding. I did. When I
What?
first saw the word, I thought like you hoarder, and it's like a culture for that. I was like, oh wow. But then I
Oh,
looked up the yeah, I looked up the definition. I looked at the definition and found out that it was dedicated to gardening. So I wanted to
yes.
find out, how did you get into that route, and also did that come from your passion for real estate, because you deal with development, you deal with developing things as your second nature within real estate outside of grinding? So I wonder, what that looks
Yeah.
like for you.
It it just ended up that way. That different different doors, but the path still ended up meeting at a fork in the road. I'll explain it that way. So when I was much younger, before I even thought about real estate, I love botany. I love plants. Um,
Mm,
herbalist by nature. If if I could, earth science. Let me get even more specific. I love earth science. So those days when I was in Chinatown and we were just chilling and stuff like that, I was constantly just thinking about gardening, growing herb, doing all types of stuff. Just I had a really good green thumb. So I applied to the job that was across the street from me, and that kind of set off this chain reaction of just like being not a tutor but like a mentor to like little kids and the youth and stuff like
mm,
that in my neighborhood. So because the garden is not too far from my house, it's across the street, and
right.
it just kept going in that path. So when I started working there, I'm teaching the kids on how to do this plant life. And then after I stopped working there, I worked in the same community, the Peace Collective, and we also went over botany there, but it was just more hands-on with teaching the kids in the
Hmm.
neighborhood about what's going on. We have the greenest block competition. How do they get in on planting and learning the new different things and,
Wow.
vegetables, growing fruit? What's the difference between, let me tell you something. I didn't know the difference. Ask your friend, what's a fruit? Ask your friend from the hood, which one is a fruit, and give him a tomato and give him I don't know, an orange, right? He's gonna say the fruit is the orange, right? And the vegetable is the tomato. They're both the fruit, right? A lot of our people in our neighborhood, and it just goes back to that real estate thing. So in our neighborhoods, they don't promote learning like that because
Mm.
the real estate doesn't promote that, right? But the garden, what they did was they erected gardens in low income areas where the properties were just like diminished and the neighborhood and the youth were of our kind, but just down and out. You get me?
Mm.
So it just ended up that the gardening brought me to a community kind of aspect of just like looking at the neighborhood and what's going on. And when I first started real estate, it wasn't, I needed a different life, but I wanted purpose. So it wasn't about the money at the time. It was literally just helping my people do better, because like I said, they were moving us out into Brownsville to die, right? I grew up in Brownsville, so I already knew what was going on. When they started moving back to Brownsville, I'm like, well, what are y'all going over there for? It's dangerous. Trust me, I know. I just came from over there. It's bad. Why are you moving there? And they're all being moved up and shipped out. And at the same time, we're starting community projects in them same neighborhoods. So it always piqued my interest. So with the gardening, it gave me a reason to go and help my community out. And then while I was there, just watching the conditions that we live in, and of course, living over here in Crown Heights next to Park Slope, seeing the conditions that they live in, it interested me highly, which is why my first 2 jobs in real estate was agencies in Park Slope and in East New York.
Wow.
I needed to get that aspect. I started off in East New York trying to help my people, and I quickly realized I would die too. And I know I'm using the word die pretty loosely, but it is what it is, because we didn't have it. We don't have it. We don't have it at all. And you don't realize that until you delve into the community matters, like the botanical garden and the gardening and the community development. It wasn't just gardening; it's bringing all the underprivileged kids to the garden to teach them about things like what we just spoke about. They don't know the difference between a veggie and a fruit. That's crazy. How do you not know the difference between a veggie and a fruit? It's because nobody's talking about veggies and fruits. Talking about guns, trapping. That's been going on since the dawn of time. You know, they know about more what's going on in the streets before they know about vegetables and stuff like that. You know,
I got a question for you. So,
shoot, anything.
How do you go about encouraging younger people to pursue growth and greatness? What does that look like?
It looks like not forcing it. I was lucky enough for creative juices to be around me for that spark to hit. But sometimes there isn't always already a lighter in hand. There isn't always a lighter right there to start a fire. You need to start a spark. You need to surround them intentionally with that image. I was surrounded by it by mistake. You know, the person I was looking up to, he was doing real estate. He kept talking about it. He kept going over it. I had friends that were doing it and always talking about it. My family member owns about 2 homes and she's renting it out. So it's just always been around me. So I was lucky to get that. What we fail to do now is surround our children or the youth with what it is that they know or they think they know. Like, we allow them to surround themselves with the stuff that they like. That's a recipe for disaster, right? They like silliness. They like stupidness. If you let them surround themselves with silliness, they're going to be a little silly, right?
Right.
If you surround them by greatness, they become great. It's literally that simple. You don't have to force it. You don't have to guide anybody. You don't have to lead them. You just need to be great in front of them. You just need to be, you just need to be amazing in front of them. Right, like Stafford, he's talking about financial literacy. Talk that talk, walk the walk in front of them.
Wow.
Like show them. Like, there was one time I had to stand up to a supervisor at my other job in front of my little sister, because I just have to show her that it doesn't matter who you are. You have to stand up for something at some time in your life. It can't just be you're complacent 24/7 out of your life. You have to jump the coop. You have to learn, and you have to understand what you can defend. You can't run off at the mouth 24/7, which is what a lot of our people forget. And unfortunately, we end up doing that.
Wow.
You have to learn something. But you have to be around something to learn. You have to be around somebody that's doing something. The people that I was surrounded by, one was doing real estate. The other one was a bona fide player. And that ain't no occupation, but the man was good. Okay? The man went to aviation school, became a pilot for the US
Wow.
Air Force. Came back, started doing radio, and was just living his life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Continue.
He wasn't doing anything crazy. He was doing what he was supposed to do. You know what I mean? He was doing what he was supposed to do. He was making his money. The women loved him. Loved him. He never needed to raise his voice or get crazy with no woman. He's beating up on women and da-da-da. These are the people I got. And his name, I'll even give you his name so you can look this man up. He's probably still doing this thing, looking cool and young.
You can send it to me. Yeah, you can send it to me. I may want to interview him too.
Atwood.
Donald Atwood. Yeah.
Mr. Donald Atwood. These are the people that helped mold me to the point where I don't even see him no more, but I remember his name. I haven't seen him or spoken to him in years, but I will always remember his name forever. He doesn't even know that, but forever I will always remember his name because the things that I stripped off him from watching and learning, it hasn't, to this day, it has not been replaced. Right? He's part of the reason why I know some of my worth. Right?
Amazing.
You can't replace that. You know,
I have another question. Go ahead.
My mentor who's in real estate. There's nothing anybody could tell me about him because aside from him talking his talk, I have seen him get up and make the bread. I have watched him get up and make the bread to the point where I was like, well, hey, I want in too. And he was like, of course you do. Come along. And
of course you do.
And I too at a time was making some good bucks under his
Speaking about money, and this is an important question, what does financial freedom look like for you?
For me, it's running the team instead of being a part of the team. Right? It's running the team instead of being a part of the team. Being a part of the team, you have to be everywhere. Right? Running the team, you need to be one place and they'll run to you. It's the time. Right? That's what this is all about. It's the time. You spend more time being a part of the team than you do running the team. Right? I've got 5 mission statement objectives. Go do that. I got time to go do what I got to do. That's it. It's time. People who are rich, their main thing is the time. If they stop today, they have their time. That's what it's all about. I'm trying to make enough money to buy back my time.
Wow.
That's what we're all doing. And people who've made the money before that, they're paying father time off.
Wow.
Every day is a vacation. You see it. Every day is a vacation. They're buying jewelry. They could have bought out communities. They're not. They don't need to. They don't have to. They're not obligated to. They've purchased their time.
Right.
They've purchased their time. Everybody wants to pretend like money isn't the answer. Oh my God, it's world peace. I don't care for your peace anymore because I was surrounded by a group of people that unlocked a new creative thought process in my head, which now I'm not in it to help people anymore. I did that. It was fun. It's cool. I'm older now. It's all about time and my money. Don't waste my time because my time is worth money. Don't waste my money because to get that back costs me time, which is going to cost me money. I'm very intense with it.
I respect that, honestly.
When it comes to the paper, at least. Everything else, we can joke, we can laugh, or whatever. When it's time to cut my check, I'm a monster. Complete savage. There is nothing left to do, right? Everything's managed by this real estate world that we're doing, whether it's sales, commercial, rentals.
Wow.
We need to get up on it. We need to get up on it. And we're scared. We're scared. We think we can't do it. Let me tell you something. We see a 4 or 5 bedroom apartment for $3,500, right? At first, we're like, oh my gosh, that's so expensive. Is it? Is it?
Oh, I got a question. Do
Shoot.
you think that's based on a mindset that's already, pre-wired or
Yeah,
hardwired
our
from
parents screwed
experiences?
us up. Yeah, our parents screwed us up big time.
I was having a
They believe.
conversation with somebody about that. About they were saying that they were basically speaking on this new generation and how it's so messed up and things of this nature. And when the person went to go kind of point fingers, I was like, well, you kind of have to look at the older
No, I
generation,
wouldn't.
like in my opinion, like
I wouldn't point to the new gen. Right, I'm not pointing to the new generation.
yeah,
If I
yeah,
had to,
it's hard.
and if I have to blame the new generation, I would. If I'd have to say that the new generation is messing up, I would put the blame on our generation, right? Because we're fucked up, right? But the new generation isn't fucked up. Their mindset is all screwed up. They're way screwed up, but they're doing way better than us, right? I just finished reading a story
Interesting.
about it. I just finished reading a story about a child who makes 50K a month. No, they don't have their mindset is a little screwed up, but that's the morality part of it. That's the ethical part of it. They're
Mm,
starting and being surrounded by so much of what's going on, their creative potential is being unlocked at unprecedented speeds, right? Because just to go back on what I said, they're being surrounded by moguls now. There's nothing but rich people now, right? Everybody's rich. Nobody's listening to poor people because poor people don't even want to be poor, right? On social media, they're rich, and everybody who's rich is rich, and the people that's out there are rich. So they're surrounded by a rich mindset right now.
interesting way to look at
For
that.
our generation, we would have probably screwed ourselves up, like what we've been doing. For them,
Mm,
they figured out a little here and there to the point where they capitalized.
mm-hmm.
$1,000 isn't enough. They're not even working. Then kids ain't even working. They're retiring their parents at 15, 16. Easy. Buying properties, holding it down, investing in Bitcoin, doing coin mining, selling NFTs. NFTs are just digital artwork. They're selling it for hundreds of thousands of dollars. They're doing it. And they're doing it because our parents didn't want to get us into it. It was stupid. Our parents, unfortunately, are like 70% Caribbean. Straight up, 70% Caribbean, like 30% South. That's
Wow.
it. Your parents don't come from Indiana, buddy, where everybody has a home and it's normal. They're from Brooklyn, where everybody has an apartment or a unit. They're from the Caribbean, where they have really small shacks and they're used to small enclosed spaces. When we come up there with our Caribbean mindset, our parents put into us, is work, 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 work. If you
That's
don't know it,
interesting one.
if you
I wanted to
work
say
till
something
you
about that too because
work
I
till the
understand that.
meat on your bones fall off and then work some more.
Right. Well, there is that mindset is actually still very prominent, right? What I kind of
And it
noticed
is
is
useful, and it is useful and
it
effective.
is useful to a degree, but then you also have to have a work and life balance, which is what I'm seeing a lot of people are losing to. I know a lot of people that have two jobs, right, back to back. I'm not saying that they're not living, but it's like they're like a machine. Like I watched this one young lady, recently. She looked extremely tired, distraught, from the job. I do respect people. I have a job myself,
Yeah.
but I am also not a machine. I know when to put a boundary,
No, I don't.
on like work.
But
To
that's the difference, though. And I respect that. I don't. I
understand.
don't.
I respect
I
that too.
work from 11:30 at night to 7:30 in the morning. When I get off at 7:30 in the morning, I get out. I walk my dog. After I walk the dog, I make breakfast for my sister and the dog. And I help my sister with her classwork and get her schoolwork done. And then I take her to school. After that, I do the listings. I go call back all my leads and my clients. It's about 11, 12 o'clock. I go show my apartments. That's in the city. After that, it's about 2, 3:30 in the afternoon. I got to come back and prepare lunch for said dog and sister one more time, clean up, and I got to follow up on the leads that I caught for that day and not the leads that I already shown. The new lead, I got to make sure I wrap that up before 6:30 because those are business hours. And then I have to go to bed for 7 to wake up 3 hours later for 10:30 to get ready for my 11:30 to 7:30 the same day. I'm a monster. I'm a machine. This is every day. You may think there's no Yo, I'm
Monster.
telling you,
I'm a
like, I'm
machine.
telling you, because
Every day.
you don't, let me tell you something. Nobody
Wow.
who's rich was like, yeah, I was just chilling and it happened. What? What?
Yeah, you're not lying about
What?
that part.
They're not. You want to get up out the gutter? You want to get $1 million home? I got a little sister I got to take care of. If my mother passed away today, I got to go in full grind mode. You can't do that trying to pretend like you have the discipline. You need to have the discipline. You need to have the discipline. You can't pretend like you got this. It's going to chew you up. You got to actually be about this. So and before I do all of that, I make sure I take a 3-mile run every morning. I did it this morning, every morning. Why? I want to get in the zone, because those guys who's making big decisions, that's what they're waking up. Their wife is making a cup of coffee. They're getting breakfast, crunch, out the door, money, back home. But they've logged it in to the point where it's like, it's a map in their head. But to the point where now they don't have to do all of that. And that's where we lost. We take it casually because we feel that the time is not pressurizing us. When other cultures, they knock that out by the time they're 21.
Wow.
Asian community, the white community, sorry, my white folk, I love y'all. The Caucasian community, they're knocking this out. They're knocking this out by the time they're 20, 21, right? My last client was a young lady, 19. 19. My client was a 19. We don't own anything. You get what I'm saying? She's 19. Here we go right here. Remember the dentist I was talking about?
Yes.
That's his daughter. That's his daughter, right?
Wow.
She was 20 something, 21, 20, 21. She's had some sort of credit in her name since she was 16. Her credit is perfect. Our parents didn't do that good by us. Listen to me very carefully. Her credit is perfect. You haven't seen that before. You don't know what that looks like. Nobody, not you, not these people that's joining and leaving and joining. Nobody knows in our neighborhood what that looks like. There's a solid 850. She can go into any bank and say, let me get this. That's it.
Wow.
With nothing down. The lowest interest. Rocket start. That's not because she was so smart. That was because her parents were. That was because her parents were. And they bought a property and they got a huge credit line. And they added her as an authorized user onto her credit line of $100,000. So to the companies and the banks, this 16-year-old has had access to $250,000 since she's been 16. She's now 21 and her credit is still good. To them, she's a fucking credit god. Wow. They wouldn't even question her. She could go right. The parents put her in a great position. What I'm saying, sometimes you could blame the parents. They came here, and I'll give you a prime example of why the rent is so high and why you can't get into one of those lottery apartments. Back in the day, there used to be this thing called the Census Bureau. They used to go to your door, knock on your door, and ask you really pertinent questions like, what was your income? Right? They used to come in and say, what was your occupation? What was your income? That's all we need. How much people are here, and what was your income? This is how long we were fucked. This is how long we were fucked over, and we just didn't realize it until like now or whatever. This was like in the 90s. They were coming to your door asking you, how much do you make?
I remember that too.
How much do you make? They were knocking your door, giving you little pamphlets. Our parents, boom, closing the door. Every day, closing the door, boom, in their face. Not giving them no information. We live here, that's it. Boom. You know who was actually taking those pamphlets and just filling them out? The people who had money. The people who are already making big bucks. They were the only people filling out the Census Bureau reports. Wait a minute. If only the rich people in our poor neighborhood are reporting their income, what image does that send to the people who do the books? In their head, everybody in East New York makes $70,000 a year. Is that true? Hell no. But who reported their income? Only the rich folk, right? So now when you have building regulations, when it comes to rent stabilization, or when they're setting, or the guidelines as to what the market of the rent is going to be, they're setting it high, $3,000 a month. Why is that? We have here, it says that this area, the median income is $100,000. What are you talking about? That means we added everybody up and the average was around 100,000. Like, what are you talking about? The poor people never gave in their information. It was just the people who had money. So we're already basing this neighborhood and the community off of information that's false.
Wow.
But the thing is, our parents and forefathers, they kept that going for so long. It's law now. So what happens is they drop this new thing called lottery apartments, where you don't have to go through the stress. If you make the medium income that we've previously recorded, you can move into one of these bad boys. And it's fair because we already did the test and the surveys, and it says that this is what you make. No biggie, because this is your information that you provided. So we know we're right. So now our base medium income becomes 80,000, 70,000. Who is that for again? For the people in the community. Here we go. My turn now. As an agent, who am I going to move into the community? Well-qualified people guaranteed to have 850 credit and $70,000 a month annual income. It's literally my job to find them and bring them to expensive establishments so I can get paid.
Wow.
It's one crazy money, and after a while, you embrace it and you become that. Because I'll move a white family in your neighborhood so fast. I won't. I'm not. You could cry gentrification, but at some point, when do you get creative and say, "Hey, let me make some hand-woven baskets for these Caucasians to enjoy, or these newcomers"? Where do we get some handmade wax soap? You know what I mean? I'm right back at you. You know what I'm saying? Where do we set up our muffin shops? Right?
Wow.
COVID hit. What did we do? Nothing. East New York still looks the same. We don't even got them cool ass cafes on the side of the street. We never applied for the permits. Guess what?
Right.
You can't get those permits like that no more.
Wow. Let me ask you a question.
Like that no more. So go ahead, shoot.
Because I'm like, I got you. Let me ask you a question. What challenges do you think lie ahead in the years to come, and what solutions do you think can help fix this problem?
Financial literacy.
I love the simplicity. I really do. No, for real, I do. I love the simplicity.
Because, and I say that it's not, and at this point, it's not because cash is king. It's because we didn't develop how we were supposed to. We were supposed to keep pushing. Get your small business. Leave your 9 to 5. We was not supposed to wait for a pandemic for other people of many different cultures to show us, hey, we could do this from home. We've been doing that here. We've been doing that. You could get a digital billboard for $45 and blow your business up.
I know about those. Yes, you can. Yes,
but we're not doing it because we're so afraid of everything. I bought 10 cloth billboard kind of labels with my name, my logo, my business, and I walked around Bed-Stuy and I hung them up on old construction gates that was almost finished because I know they'd be there for like a good year or two. I still got one on the block right now.
Wow.
It's all about the mentality that we're only now getting into. We're now getting into the set up your own business, make money, live in a mid-rise or a high-rise building. We're late. They've been doing that. Not one person I've rented an apartment to has a 9 to 5. A 9 to 5 doing what? They own their own business. And it's not something crazy. They're selling wax-covered socks, fucking shirt pins. Doesn't matter. They were surrounded by, and in this instance, their own thoughts, which is great because we never get to sit down with our own thoughts. which is why the pandemic was so great. They were surrounded by their own thoughts that unlocked their creative mentality to push further. That's what we're really seeing here with all the everybody's just making money. They're starting to push it. They had to. Nobody had to. Right. Business credit. Everybody's on to that now. Everybody wants their business credit. Everybody's now figuring out that you could get a Benz G-Wagon and write it off on your taxes. Like, they're starting to get grants, how to apply for grants. Why would you get a grant awarded to you? How do you even utilize a grant? How does that become profit for you, right? It's all profit. Everybody's got to get paid, right? Everybody can't be there working for free, right? These are things that you skip over because you think there's no profit in it, because there's no money in it. But if you just sat down and did the research, you'd realize there's money in everything that you do. This is why I study business. Business is the only subject that intertwines into every aspect of your life, no matter what you are. It is business. That's why in real estate. This is why they go hand in hand no matter what. You could say any topic right now. Real estate and business will be intertwined. AC, wow. You installing AC units? Where you installing the units, buddy? Residential. Huh? It doesn't matter. And that is a business. Even in something as so finical as widget spinners, those little widget things, right?
I know what you're talking about. I remember those.
They could get so, anything you think of can get so deep, right? It started off with a spinner, then it was a rubber thing. Now it's like one of those plastic push button pop kind of situations. Now it's an ADHD preventative tool that's being sold around the world.
Yep. I remember when it became popular, too.
Simple. It was a stress ball. Now it's a coping mechanism, right? The same thing with real estate. It was a shitty apartment building, but had you bought it when you were supposed to buy it, it could be a grand ass luxury hotel right now. But you didn't, because our parents didn't want to get into that. It was too expensive then. It's too expensive now. Right? Yeah. Nobody, give me 1 second. Nobody wanted to get into it. Nobody wanted to get into that. Nobody wanted to learn that. So
I wanted to ask you another question too, as we begin to close this interview. If there is one thing you value that you hope is preserved, I want to rephrase it, excuse me, I'm stumbling on this one. If there is one thing you value that you hope is preserved in the future from the past, what would that be? Whether it be morals, character,
for me
an
personally,
experience you had, yeah. Well, for you or in general, from what you see, either or.
It's my creativeness. I want everybody to unlock their minds. I'm so tired of, and I've grown to love everyone, no matter what it is. But I would really, if I was to die tomorrow, I want everybody to be as creative and idealistic as fuck. We have people just becoming wondrous. And it's not always about money. I really mean, I want everybody's creativity to just explode. That's what I want. I want it to be like an infectious disease. If I wasn't here, I want people to remember me and automatically become enthralled with ideology. Like think,
wow,
learn. So much going on right now. Nobody knows about it because nobody wants to act, and everybody's in their bubble. We have but so much time before it's all over, right? And you never know when it's over. Why would you waste it? Not trying to just learn or be happy or whatever it is, but just do it. Just do it. Everybody's always worried. Even not to switch it back to real estate. Everybody's always worried, the prices are too high and this and that. I'm about to leave. Or you could dig deep and get you something. Or you could think your way out of it. Or you could create something, or fine, whatever, leave. Just don't do the same thing you were doing here over there. because then you're going to make it bad for them too. There's 24 hours in a day. I use 21 of them. How much are you using?
Wow. Oh, here is the last question for you, my friend.
Shoot.
What does being human mean to you?
And that just hit me. It means being honest with yourself. Right? Like, we are only human. I get it. There's a lot of things going on in the world, a lot of distractions, a lot of money, a lot of fame, a lot of glitz, a lot of stuff to look at. But just be creatively you. Just be you. Right? Just embrace it. Just be you. There's no shortcuts. Nothing's predetermined. Just seriously, just be you. Just be real with yourself, though. Be you, and no matter what happens, it'll be all good because it's all you. You're not doing it for somebody else. You're going with what you know. You can lie to everybody else, but you can't lie to yourself. Everything in the dark got to come to light sometime. So I'm reflecting that on me. I am personally, most of the time, I'm an open book. I try to be as down to earth, accepting, and naturally me anytime that I get the chance. Anytime I get the chance, I'm not being somebody else. I'm being me. It's me. Asshole and all. It's all me. It doesn't change. All right, whoever's looking at this, it doesn't change. If you meet me in person, it doesn't change. I'm just like this. All this greatness you see here, it doesn't stop, people. Okay? So yeah, be you. Be real with yourself. It pays out better.
Wow.
It pays out better.
I wanted to say thank you for taking the time to do this interview. I do look forward to working with you in the future.
Yes, I appreciate it more, man.
Yeah, no, this was amazing, man. Hands down, the authenticity, your will to be genuine and really express some hard points, man, that are not spoken about, and oftentimes how we feel towards one another because we want better for what we see in front of us, right? Or we want better for the communities that we come from, So
yeah.
Let me just head to the side. We want better for the communities that we come from, and so I think some of these harsh realities that you spoke about today is something that people definitely needed to hear.
Like you can get out and go do it. We're complaining way too much. We're complaining way too much instead of just getting out and doing. So this was great. I appreciate you, my guy. Everybody
appreciate you too.
Tapped in, please take a double look, grab some information that you may or may not need, whatever it is.
Where can people find you?
Questions? You can find me right here. I love Maxie on Instagram. You could hit me up on my website, ilovemaxie.com. Anywhere you see me, I'm always open to message. I hit everybody back. I inbox everybody. You could hit me on TikTok, Maxie's World. I do a lot of rental videos there. That's where you'll see me talking about real estate way more, and we're just like cutting up and cracking jokes we post really good / bad priced apartments on my TikTok. So if you see this, go check it out, have a laugh. I definitely will say something to you. Other than that, please be creative and be yourself.
Much love.
Go hard. All right,
to everyone who's watching this interview right now, this interview will be available in 24 hours on multiple platforms, website, YouTube, and here on Instagram. It was great. This interview was amazing. To everyone who is watching, please remember that we are all human, all right? And I will speak to everyone later. Hit me up, Maxie. I would love to reconnect with you, all right?
Anytime, brother.
Anytime. Peace.